Jacqueline Briggs Martin wrote today's book, Snowflake Bentley, and Mary Azarian created the illustrations. So, like other books you have heard recently, today's book is also a biography. What do you already know about biographies that might help you know what to expect in this book? What do you notice on the front cover? How does that help you understand who and what this book might be about? You know, the title is called Snowflake Bentley. You see a man with an old-timey camera, and he's taking pictures of what? What do you think he's taking pictures of? So let's read to find out more about a fascinating man. Snowflake Bentley. In the days when farmers worked with ox and sled and cut the dark with lantern light, there lived a boy who loved snow more than anything else in the world. Willie Bentley's happiest days were snowstorm days. He watched snowflakes fall on his mittens on the dry grass of Vermont farm fields. Wilson Bentley was born February 9th, 1865, on a farm in Jericho, Vermont, between Lake Champlain and Mount Mansfield, in the heart of the snow belt, where the annual snowfall is about 120 inches. So that's about 10 feet. So he watched snowflakes fall on his mittens on the dry grass of Vermont farm fields. On the dark metal handle of the barn door, he said, "Snow was as beautiful as butterflies or apple blossoms." So what have we learned so far about Willie Bentley? Okay, we learned that he lives in a place where there's lots of snow. And does he like the snow or does he hate the snow? I think he loves the snow. He could not net butterflies and show them to his older brother Charlie. He could pick apple blossoms and take them to his mother, but he could not share snowflakes because he could not save them. Willie's mother was his teacher until he was 14 years old. He attended school for only a few years. She had a set of encyclopedias, Willie said. I read them all. When his mother gave him an old microscope, he used it to look at flowers, raindrops, and blades of grass. Best of all, he used it to look at snow. While other children built forts and pelted snowballs at roosting crows, Willie was catching single snowflakes. Day after stormy day, he studied the ice crystals. From his boyhood on, he studied all forms of moisture. He kept a record of the weather and did many experiments with raindrops. Their intricate patterns were even more beautiful than he had imagined. He expected to find whole snowflakes that were the same, that were copies of each other, but he never did. Willie decided he must find a way to save snowflakes so others could see their wonderful designs. For 3 winters, he tried drawing snowflakes. They always melted before he could finish. He learned that most crystals had 6 branches, though a few had 3. For each snowflake, the 6 branches were alike. I found that snowflakes were masterpieces of design, he said. No one design was ever repeated. When a snowflake melted, just that much beauty was gone without leaving any record behind. Starting at age 15, he drew 100 snow crystals each winter for 3 winters. So Willie wanted to find a way to save snowflakes. Why do you think this was important to Willie? When he was 16, Willie read a camera with its own microscope. Willie read of a camera with its own microscope. If I had that camera, I could photograph snowflakes, he told his mother. Willie's mother knew he would not be happy until he could share what he had seen. Fussing with the snow is just foolishness, his father said. Still, he loved his son. When Willie was 17, his parents spent their savings and bought the camera. The camera made images on large glass negatives. Its microscope could magnify a tiny crystal from 64 to 3,600 times its actual size. So Willie's camera could magnify snowflakes. What does it mean to magnify something? When you magnify something, it means to make it bigger. So how will magnifying the snowflakes help Willie? It was taller than a newborn calf and cost as much as his father's herd of 10 cows. Willie was sure it was the best of all cameras. Even so, his first pictures were failures, no better than shadows. Yet he would not quit. Mistake by mistake, snowflake by snowflake, Willie worked through every storm. Winter ended, the snow melted, and he had no good pictures. He waited for another season of snow. One day in the second winter, he tried a new experiment, and it worked. Willie had figured out how to photograph snowflakes. Now everyone can see the great beauty in a tiny crystal, he said. Willie's experiment, he used a very small lens opening, which let only a little light reach the negative, but he kept the lens open for several seconds, up to a minute and a half. He learned, too, that could make the snow crystal show up more clearly by using a sharp knife to cut away all the dark parts of the negative around the crystals. This etching meant extra hours of work for each photograph, but Willie didn't mind. In those days, no one cared. Neighbors laughed at the idea of photographing snow. Snow in Vermont is as common as dirt, they said. We don't need pictures. Willie said the photographs would be his gift to the world. While the farmer sat by the fire or rode to town with horse and sleigh, Willie studied snowstorms. He stood at the shed door and held out a black tray to catch the flakes. He learned that each snowflake begins as a speck, much too tiny to be seen. Little bits, molecules of water attach to the speck to form its branches. As the crystal grows, the branches come together and trap small quantities of air. Many things affect the way these crystal branches grow. A little more cold, a bit less wind, or a bit more moisture will mean different shaped branches. Willie said that was why in all his pictures he never found two snowflakes alike. So what are some new things that you learned about snowflakes? I learned that the wind can affect how a snowflake grows. That's interesting. We don't have many snowflakes in Beaufort, so I would recommend that you get on Google to see some of his pictures, because his pictures are pretty cool. When he found only jumbled broken crystals, he brushed the tray clean with a turkey feather and held it out again. He waited hours for just the right crystal and didn't notice the cold. If the shed were warm, the snow would melt. If he breathed on the black tray, the snow would melt. If he twisted a muscle as he held the snow crystal on the long wooden pick, the snowflake would break. He had to work fast or the snowflake would evaporate before he could slide it into place and take its picture. Some winters he was able to make only a few dozen good pictures. Some winters he made hundreds. So the best snowstorm of his life occurred on Valentine's Day in 1928. He made over 100 photographs. During the 2-day storm, he called the storm a gift from winter. So look at the type of camera that he's using. Is this a camera that we're used to seeing nowadays? Willie so loved the beauty of nature, he took pictures in all seasons. In summer, his nieces and nephews rubbed coat hangers with sticky pitch from spruce trees. Then Willie could use them to pick up spider webs jeweled with water drops and take their pictures. On fall nights, he would gently tie a grasshopper to a flower so he could find it in the morning and photograph the dew-covered insect. Willie's nieces and nephews lived on one side of the farmhouse that Willie shared with his brother Charlie. Willie often played the piano as they sang and shared stories and games with them. But his snow crystal pictures were always his favorites. He gave copies away and sold them for a few cents. He made special pictures as gifts for birthdays. He held evening slideshows on the lawns of his friends. Children and adults sat on the grass and watched, while Willie projected his slides onto a sheet hung over a clothesline. So many colleges and universities bought lantern slide copies of his photographs and added to their collections each year. Artists and designers use the photographs to inspire their own work. He wrote about snow and published his pictures in magazines. He gave speeches about snow to faraway scholars and neighborhood skywatchers. "You're doing a great work," said a professor from Wisconsin. The little farmer came to be known as the world's expert on snow, the Snowflake Man. But he never grew rich. He spent every penny on his pictures. Willie said there were treasures in snow. "I can't afford to miss a single snowstorm," he told a friend. "I never know when I will find some wonderful prize." Other scientists raised money so Willie could gather his best photographs in a book. When he was 66 years old, Willie's book, His Gift to the World, was published. Still, he was not ready to quit. Even today, those who want to learn about snow crystals begin with Wilson Bentley's book, Snow Crystals. By 1926, he had spent $15,000 on his work and received $4,000 from the sale of photographs and slides. So he spent $15,000 and made $4,000. So do you think he was a rich man? No. The author tells you that Willie Bentley did not make a lot of money from his snowflake photographs. Most people want to make money for their work. So what kind of person do you think Willie was if he was doing his work without necessarily being paid for it? Less than a month after turning the first page of his book, Willie walked 6 miles home in a blizzard to take more pictures. He became ill with pneumonia after that walk and died 2 weeks later. A monument was built for Willie in the center of town. The girls and boys who had been his neighbors grew up and told their sons and daughters the story of the man who loved snow. 40 years after Wilson Bentley's death, children in his village worked to set up a museum in honor of the farmer-scientist, and his book has taken the delicate snow crystals that once blew across Vermont, past mountains, over the earth. Neighbors and strangers have come to know of the icy wonders that land on their own mittens thanks to Snowflake Bentley. The plaque on the monument, this is the monument for Snowflake Bentley in his town. The plaque on the monument says Snowflake Bentley, Jericho's world-famous snowflake authority. For 50 years, Wilson A. Bentley, a simple farmer, developed his technique of microphotography to reveal to the world the grandeur and mystery of the snowflake, its universal hexagonal shape, and its infinite number of lovely designs. So the town put up a monument to honor Snowflake Bentley. What do you think about this monument and what it says? So here's a picture of Snowflake Bentley. Okay. And then this is a quote by him. It says, "The average dairy farmer gets up at dawn because he has to go to work in the cow yard. I get up at dawn too, but it's because I want to find some leaf hung with dew or a spider web which dew has made into the most delicate rope of pearls. I take my camera with me, get down on my knees in the wet grass, and photograph these exquisite bits of nature. Because I do this, I can show these lovely things to people who would have never seen them without my help. They'll get their daily quart of milk all right. Other farmers will attend to that, but I think I'm giving them something which is just as important. And these are some pictures of his snowflakes. Pretty cool, huh? Look how each snowflake is different. So, why do you think people once laughed at Willie and his snowflake photographs? No, I think they did it because it was different, right? Why did Willie love snow so much? Why did the author want you to know about Snowflake Bentley? What are some of the things that Snowflake Bentley did that was important? So we know he took pictures of snowflakes, and we learned that snowflakes are different, that each one looks very different than the other one, and no snowflake is the same. He taught us that. He also found cool pictures of morning dew on, the wetness in the air and on things in the morning when you wake up. That's called dew. And he took pictures of dew on leaves or on spider webs. And it looks really cool. So I would advise you to also Google that as well. Google dew on spider webs or dew on plants, and you'll find some really cool pictures. So how was Willie able to make his dream of photographing snowflakes come true, even though it was difficult? How was he able to make his dream come true? Do you think his parents helped? You remember on this page when his parents spent their savings and bought the camera. How else was he able to make his dream come true? Remember, it says, his first pictures were failures. Willie worked through every storm. Winter ended, the snow melted, and he had no good pictures. What about that? Then it said, in those days, no one cared about his pictures photographing snow. No one cared. He had to wait for hours for the right crystal. The snow could melt. The snow crystal could break. He had to work really fast so the snowflake would melt and evaporate. So those are all things that he had to overcome to be able to do what he was doing, to be able to be successful and create pictures for us. So what lesson can you learn from what Willie had to do to get a photograph of a snowflake? What lesson can you learn from that? One lesson that I can take away from this book is patience. You have to be patient and persevere. Because what if he gave up after the first time when he failed? And if he didn't persevere, we wouldn't have pictures about snowflakes, huh? So I think this book really shows perseverance and patience. Because he had to stand out in the snow for hours waiting on the perfect snowflake. I don't think I could have done that.